radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Nice. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. How you doing? Today's Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. 305 days into the new year, only 60 days left. Let's do this, man. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A total undisclosed location. But it is beautiful in here, let me tell you. It really is. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and UNX. Raise Hobbs. It's night number 2 for the UNX Network, and, you know, I'm very happy, very proud. We're number 1. All of that is great. Hello to everybody out there. But, you know, sooner or later, I got to stop mentioning it. But not tonight. Yeah. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight we have very special guests. This is a very special show tonight. They're all special, but tonight is extra special. Director Roger R. Richards is here. He's here. He's here to talk about and announce the premiere of his new film. It is called The Observers. I have been talking about it now for about a month and a half, kind of let the cat out of the bag. When we were filming, I posted some pictures, and I was kind of, you know, alluding to, couldn't say a whole lot back then. But now, we're in premiere month. The film premieres November 18th. We're going to talk about all of that and Roger's vision of this film and how he put it all together and what this means for the world. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. Tomorrow night, Paola Harris is back with us. And we are going to discuss the world view of disclosure. And that's going down tomorrow night. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. All right. Now, I just mentioned Paula Harris. I will be at her conference, the Starworks USA UFOs, All the Above and Beyond conference, going down in 10 days. Today's the 2nd. 10 days, I'll be in Laughlin, Nevada, November 12th through the 14th at the Aquarius Hotel and Casino with Jacques Vallée, Paul Hynek, Grant Cameron, Colin Andrews, Jaime Maussan, and 10 other amazing speakers. We'll be talking about the conference tomorrow night with Paula. Tickets and info are at starworksusa.com. It's all you got to do. We've got all of the links up in social media. StarWorksUSA.com, also in the description box below. We'll see everybody in Laughlin. And now I'm assuming, I got to think about this for a second. Conference starts on the 12th. We have Fade to Black. Do I drive after Fade to Black on Thursday night? Do I drive to Laughlin? Do I cancel the show on the 11th and drive to Laughlin? I can't drive to Laughlin Friday morning. No, I got to get there Thursday night. See, there you go. I'm making plans right now, live on the air. No show Thursday, November 11th. Oh, man, you got to love it. But I'll see everybody out there in Laughlin. It is going to be great. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. The Sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. Come and hang out with all of us right there. You can look at all the exciting gifts that all of those Fadernauts post. Olivia, that's top notch right there. That Woody Woodpecker. That's top notch. Tri-scale with Snoop Dogg. I watched the original episode of Cribs with Snoop going through his house. Man, and it's not even widescreen. It's like normal ass. It's that old. I don't know when that aired, but that was a long time ago. It was pretty trippy. All right. I love me, Snoop. He's younger than me. I'm not buying that. All right. The hashtag F2B is the Sandbox on Twitter. Busy day on Twitter. Even before I get started, busy day. And so this morning, I'm making coffee, right? It's early, too. It's like 8:30. It's early in the morning, making coffee. And my phone rings. It's my foot got tangled up in some cables. It's Christina Gomez, and she says, have you seen Twitter? And I thought, what? You're calling me? What's going on? They took down my YouTube channel. And now... that was how our day started. And, of course, Christine, I guest host on her show, Histories with the Mystery, every Tuesday. And she's got no YouTube channel. And that's how the day started. And I felt so bad for it. It's a rough thing to go through. I've been through it. And I've had my rounds with YouTube over the years, as everybody knows. But... things had to get done, and then the next thing is the show must go on. And so she was a professional. I know things were on her mind. Got through the show, and right after the show, it's about 4 o'clock, got off the air. We were talking about ramen noodles, so I had to get myself hooked up with ramen. She got me all fixated on that. So I made some ramen, and then I got a text from her. I'm back. So she got her YouTube channel back today, and this is the thing with YouTube and running their automation, and they're out there scrubbing all of the videos that get uploaded. It's got to be millions a minute, millions an hour, and they're scrubbing everything and they're looking for everything. They got their automation systems and they're searching and they're looking and they're doing their thing, and they're also looking at previous content. And then those systems trip. They trip. The triggers are tripped. There's something on our channel that no community strike, no community guideline, no nothing. Just boom, we took your channel down for no reason given. And that's the problem with automation these days. It takes care of a lot of work for YouTube, certainly, and I get that. But then you take down a channel that doesn't deserve to be taken down, that hasn't done anything, and now you're messing with people's lives, and you're guilty until proven innocent. And now you've got to go back and you've got to appeal. You've got to get a human being to check out the situation. And in some cases, that takes weeks or longer. It did with me. With Christine, it took a day, and the channel got back up. So that is the good news. But that was Twitter today. That was Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. All right, and go and check everything out. But that's and had a really good ending, and I know that she is totally relieved. I could tell on the show today. You could just tell she had other stuff on her mind, and yeah. But she's a pro. Okay, let's get to the breaking news because some of this is pretty incredible. Today, citing growing concerns, air quotes, about privacy and ethics, Facebook has announced it will stop using face recognition technology and delete more than 1 billion individual templates harvested so far from users who opted into the program. Authorities around the world are still working to provide clear rules on the use of the technology. But back in August, South Korean regulators fined Facebook for presuming consent to that feature for 200,000 users and not letting them opt out of the facial recognition technology. Earlier this year, Facebook was also ordered to pay a $650 million class action settlement to 1.6 million users in Illinois after a federal court ruled the facial recognition feature violated state privacy laws. In response to the lawsuit, originally filed back in 2015, Facebook had disabled the automatic facial recognition in 2019 and then made it optional. But now it's being removed. Pressure on Facebook right now. Well, NASA scientists are encouraging the scientific community to establish a new framework that provides context for findings related to the search for extraterrestrial life. Writing in the journal Nature, I read everything. They propose creating a scale for evaluating and combining different lines of evidence that would ultimately lead to answering the ultimate question: are we alone in the universe? In the new article led by Jim Green, the agency's chief scientist, NASA offers a sample scale to use as a starting point for discussions among anyone who would use it, such as scientists and communicators. They envision a scale informed by decades of experience in astrobiology, a field that probes the origin of life on Earth and the possibilities of life elsewhere. Now, I need you to sit down and listen to this next news story. Here we go. River Moon Coffee. That's because an asteroid about the size of a refrigerator shot past Earth last week, and astronomers didn't know the object existed until hours after it was gone. It was a close call. The space rock's trajectory on October 24th carried it over Antarctica within 1,800 miles of Earth. Closer than some satellites, making it the third closest asteroid to approach the planet without actually hitting it. Scientists were unaware of the object, dubbed Asteroid 2021 UA1, because it approached Earth's daytime side from the direction of the sun. So the comparatively dim and small visitor went undetected until about 4 hours after passing by at its closest point. And if that doesn't freak you out, nothing will. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, David Schwimmer. David Schwimmer today is 54 years old. And I know what you're thinking. Friends, not me. No. Melman in Madagascar. That made that guy famous. Katie Lang today is 60. And Poison's Bobby Dahl today is 58 years old. Our dead guy's birthday today is Keith Emerson. 1944 to 2016, died at the age of 72. Keith was a founding member of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, one of the great progressive rock supergroups. Emerson, Lake and Palmer were huge through much of the 1970s, one of my favorite bands, becoming one of the best known progressive rock groups in the world. Keith wrote and arranged much of ELP's music on albums such as Tarkus, love it, and Brain Salad Surgery, another great album. There was I'll come back to this in a second. There's no question that he was one of the most influential keyboardists in the world of rock and roll. And Keith died on March 11th, 2016, at his home in Santa Monica, California, of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. He committed suicide. He had problems with his hands. He had nerve damage. He's a keyboard player, felt that he couldn't play anymore, and up to the standards that people expected. Don't know if that had everything to do with it, but there you go. All right. But I think of their live album and that opening line, "Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends." And that's Keith Emerson. There you go. On this day in history, once again, in 1947. I should do a show. I did years ago. I did this a long time ago. I did a whole feature on the year 1947 and everything that, not everything, but some of the big events from 1947. Everything happened in 1947. Nothing happened in 2020. Everything happened in 1947, including this. Howard Hughes pilots his Spruce Goose, at one time the largest aircraft ever built, on its first and only flight in Long Beach Harbor on this day in 1947. Fate or fact, in 1984, astronaut Bruce McCandless floated in space completely unattached to anything, 320 feet away from the space shuttle, with only a nitrogen jetpack. That takes NAD. Do you know what NAD is? Look it up. It takes a lot of NAD. I couldn't imagine. Rivermoon Coffee. Rivermoon Coffee. RivermoonWellness.com. The links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Fade to Black Blend. Links are in the description box below. Rivermoon, it is the best coffee in the world. Man, today it's extra good. Eric, the Awakening Man, is in the Mojave. I just shot a video, by the way, right before showtime. I'm going to post it tomorrow. It doesn't make, I was going to hold it up to the camera. And I just filmed something crazy in the skies. Pretty cool. And I'm going to cut it up. No, I need to enlarge it. And then I'm going to post it tomorrow. I'm not going to say anything else. All right. Where am I? What was I talking about? What was I doing? Oh, Rivermoon Coffee. Fade to Black Blend. F2B Blend. That's your promo code. All the links are at JimmyChurchRadio.com. All right. Now, when would the media or our own government be able to say, yes, extraterrestrial life has been found? When? When? How do we ponder the significance of new scientific results related to the search for extraterrestrial life? Right? On Mars, for example. Europa. I mean, pick a moon of Jupiter. Venus. Or an exoplanet out there. How do we do that? How do we ponder the significance of that announcement? Well, the answers to these questions are both easy and complex at the same time. The announcement of life has got to come with something definitive. I remember when meteorites were found in Antarctica, allegedly at the time, suspecting that they came from Mars. And as they looked closer at the rocks, they saw what they felt at the time might have been microbial life that was fossilized into the meteorites, and the meteorites are ejected off of Mars somehow, right? Volcanic eruption, another asteroid hits Mars, maybe ejected the debris out, and it travels across the solar system and then impacts Earth, and it survives for millions of years or whenever, right? And I remember looking at those photographs and look organic to me, but then they dismissed it. But that's not enough. It was exciting at the time, but that is not enough. What would it take for that to happen on something like Mars? Now, when you look at Europa or some of the moons of Jupiter that have water, they have oceans covered in ice, and we got to get through the ice and then get to the ocean. That's water. Right now, we haven't found liquid water, pools of water yet. On Mars, where you have a stew, you have a soup, you have a Petri dish, and you have a thing that is happening there, right? Okay. Life is water. Water is life. Haven't found that yet on Mars. Could there be something deep down in the soil? And I'm not talking about fossilized. I mean something living, something organic. And should we be taking soil samples from Mars? And I know they've done it in the past, but I think we have better technology today. And inject water into it, let it sit there for a little bit, see if something grows, see if something comes to life. Is that enough? No. Now, that's evidence of something once upon a time. But I'm talking about extraterrestrial life. How will that announcement happen? And what are those standards? Right? Well, right now, the way that things are being handled, we have gone an end around of these questions and that search, because there's other ways to do it. And there's ways to with telescopes and to measure atmospheric evidence. And is there oxygen? Are there clouds? Is there water vapor? There's ways to detect and look at exoplanets today and see what's inside of their biosphere. Right? But let's shift this back. It seems that is going on, but now with everything that is happening here, UAPs, sightings, contact on this planet, we're going the end around, and we're going straight to what is visiting Earth. Right? Now, is that evidence of extraterrestrial life? Now, let's say a probe crashes. Let's say the Tic Tac loses control, right? Crashes, floating on the ocean surface. We go out and pick it up. But there's no life in it. It's just a craft. It's just a probe, like the Perseverance rover that we've just sent to Mars, right? Pioneer 11, Voyager 1 and 2. It's just a probe. There's no human beings involved, right? And so we pick, is that evidence of extraterrestrial life? No, it is not. It's proof that something out there intelligent is building stuff in the far distant past, and it made it here, right? It's evidence of that. Is it evidence of extraterrestrial life? No, it is not. Now, if we take it's cool, but hear me out. I'm talking about life. Life. So the other evidence of extraterrestrial life, and this is the end around that I'm talking about, you get the probe and you get the Tic Tac and you open it up and it's just a probe and there's no little creature in there, right? There's no Men in Black little dude, control. No, it's not that. But what about these crashed retrievals where bodies have allegedly been taken to a base and put on a deep freeze? What about those that survived the crash and have been taken somewhere and they lived or are still living? That's evidence of extraterrestrial life. So when we talk about these standards and what would be the proof, is it already here on this planet and that issue is being ignored? Is there a way to soft serve this out to the public via something like the Tic Tac, another UAP, some other evidence, and then a disclosure of something not built here has been sent here, and then take it to the next step? Because the evidence of extraterrestrial life is something altogether different. It's not microbial life in a fossil that is tens of millions of years old from Mars. Is there life on Venus? Don't know. Is there life on Europa? Don't know. Is that evidence of extraterrestrial life? Those standards have to be set, right? Now, and this is the last point that I want to make. Even here on this planet, before Homo sapien sapien, and if you back up 2 billion years when amoebas were in the ocean, single cell, multi-cell, whatever, but not intelligent life. If we found that same standard where we've got plants and trees and things and grass and water, and we find evidence of that on another planet, is that evidence of extraterrestrial life? We got to be very careful. Now, it would be cool to make those discoveries, but is it that? Is it the big one? And I'm saying it's not. It's not. And I'm wondering if this end around that everybody is doing right now is because they can't necessarily speak the truth that there may have been extraterrestrial life here and the government is in possession of it. It's very interesting. And these standards, these things are being spoken about now. And they're also in the intelligence budget for 2022. They specifically talk about this. It's very interesting. And that's why Roger Richards made this film, The Observers. And he's our guest tonight. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, Roger R. Richards, here to discuss the release and premiere of his new film, The Observers. Tomorrow night, Paula Harris is here. The international take on disclosure. What's going on around the world? That's going on tomorrow night. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. All right, I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and I'll be right back after this short break with our guest, Roger R. Richards. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from Rivermoon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Hello, Fadernauts. Ray Sobbs here, inviting all of you to join us for the launch of a brand new broadcasting platform called the UnX Network. Tune in Halloween night as we go live on the X Streams for the first time to reveal our plans for this brand new and exciting platform. If you have an interest in the paranormal, UFOs, cryptids, ghosts, hidden histories, and alternative research, breakthrough technology, you will want to make the X your brand new home. Our programs will feature many familiar faces and even more new ones. And our listeners can interact and help investigative journalists, authors, researchers, and hosts who work diligently in the fight against the ideological divide that exists in media today. This platform is for critical thinkers seeking the alternatives to mainstream thought. So join us October the 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern at unacknowledged.com as we kick off the mothership, the UnX Network, explaining the unexplained.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Roger R. Richards is here. Tomorrow night, Paula Harris. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. But tonight, it's all about Roger. He joins us to discuss his new film, The Observers. It's going to release worldwide on November 18th. The film features Richard Dolan, Linda Moulton Howe, Whitley Strieber, Lue Elizondo, William Henry, Jesse Ventura, John Greenwald, and Debbie Kauble, and of course yours truly. And we discuss in the film the UFO ET reality and what disclosure means for the future of our world. He's an American film maker. He's a poet. He's an artist. He's an activist. One day he told me, he said, "Church, let me tell you what an activist is. Let me tell you about me." Scared the crap out of me. But he's known stylistically for his true conspiracy documentary aesthetic, and his films explore highly controversial and subculture topics that we can challenge as viewers and understanding the very nature of our reality. These topics include unacknowledged government programs, global political corruption, the JFK assassination. We're going to talk about that tonight, quantum computing, and other advanced classified technologies. His highly abstract and archetypal poetry is authored under the pen name Emma Gold, and his visual and iconic multimedia art explores themes of the occult, psychedelia, and multidimensional consciousness. His work has been seen and experienced by millions of people around the world, and he has archived a somewhat infamous and mysterious reputation for exploring these highly controversial subjects through his films, art, poetry, and activism. I've got a link up for the trailer for The Observers, and I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black our good friend, Roger Richards. Roger, what's cracking, man?
Thanks, Jimmy. It's good to be on tonight. It's good to hear your voice, man. Just hanging out here in Portland and looking at the skyline and looking at that rack of guitars behind you there.
Yeah, right on. Well, okay. All right. Okay. See, this is the cool side of Roger. I'm gonna tell everybody a little story. So we're shooting The Observers, and I walk onto the set, this big sound stage, and it's big and it's cool. It's lit up, and there's people and the camera and lights and food and all the stuff that you expect on a typical Hollywood movie set, including Roger's director chair. So I walk up, and there's this folding director's chair, and it says Roger R. Richards on the back of it. It's all embroidered. My feet hurt. So I sit down in Roger's chair, and Roger comes up in back of me, and he says, "Church, get out of my chair." And I said, "Roger, my feet hurt." He said, "Get up, get off my set, get me a cappuccino. I need oat milk. I need 1 scoop of foam on the top because it makes me bloaty. I don't want 2 spoons. And get off my set and get me my cappuccino." And I stand up, man. I'm at attention. And I go get director Roger R. Richards his cappuccino, and I come back, and you take it from me. And you said, "Now get off the set." And I did. I walked off the set. But I thought, man, I'm in the presence of Roger R. Richards. And that's my story. I'm going to stick to it, Roger.
I was watching you squirm in that interview chair, man. You know, for your audience out there, I think this was the first time you had been in that interview chair on film, if I remember correctly.
That is true. That is
yeah,
true.
Definitely.
And you know what was really cool for that moment, because we've known each other for such a long time, and have always talked about working with each other, and it was all blah, 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 blah. You know, it's all talk. Yep. But finally, we got a chance to sit down and do it. And I don't know, who was more nervous, you or me?
I think you were, man. I was actually really excited. You know, everybody that we were being able to pull together for the cast of this, and you know, be able to have access to and have conversations with, man. I had questions galore for everyone, so I was super excited, and that included you too. I was definitely interested to see what's behind the persona that's on the radio here. What's the voice and the face and the spirit that's connected to why you're doing this work. And I think it really came out in the film. At least that's what I see from your side. You know, it was really authentic to hear from you your true passions around this community as a movement, and really the long-term haul that you have been in here, but you plan to be in, you know, for into the future. So it was great, and it was awesome to obviously to have access to everybody else and have those incredible conversations, man.
Well, okay, so let me ask you something honest, since it's just you and I, right, sitting here. Is this you have been on Fade to Black many times. You certainly know what I do for a gig. Now I'm sitting behind you on set, and you are asking the questions, and I got to listen to your style and how you approach things, and that was great. But to be honest with me, man, were you thinking, okay, church is behind me, I got to make this next question spot on? Tell me the truth.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had pressure from all of you guys in making sure that my questions were relevant to the topics that, we're all tracking in the community right now, which are hyper complex. And to be able to have the ability to connect with you guys, who are people that have had this long-term, involvement in this community in all different avenues in, whether they're researchers or experiencers or like yourself, a radio show host that, holds space for many, many conversations, that opportunity for me to really kind of sit with the collective knowledge base of what I knew about all of you guys, what was happening right now here in regards to the UAP report, especially, and the disclosure movement, the kind of transformation that's happening to the disclosure movement, where it's really going beyond just UFOs now, and it's going into alternative technologies, it's going into secret government projects that might have taken advantage of American citizens. These things are really, really huge concepts and alone within themselves, but to be able to create and weave a tapestry in a film, in 90 minutes around these times, and the people that were involved, it was an incredible journey for me as an artist to do through the whole experience. But the whole team around us and everybody that came together on this project, everybody that collaborated on it, it really brought out something special. So, every single moment sitting with you, one of you guys, whether it was you or Linda or Dolan or anyone else in that experience, it's like that, we're rolling and then it begins. And for me, it's funny you mentioned, just kind of my style as far as an interviewer. I like to create conversations. I really like to be in a space of dialoguing with somebody about the complexities of issues, and then pulling that stuff into, the cutting room floor and creating that mosaic and that tapestry out of it. And so, with you, I thought it was real interesting because, the persona of you on the radio here is, like you said, you're hosting, you're asking the questions. So watching it flipped back on you, and you actually having to take a moment to, deeply think about these things and, share what your experiences are around this community and your feelings around it. I think people are going to see a real different side of you. It was cool to see.
Well, I tried to keep my anger back. And
yes.
it was kind of funny. You got the angriest moments into the film. and that was pretty cool. Okay. There is another. I want to talk directly about your approach in making the film. Because when we originally started talking about it and your vision and things, that all sounds great. Right? It's always the unachievable, but it gets the team fired up. Now the film is completed. I want your take. Did you make the film that you set out to make in the beginning?
I mean, my intention with this film is was from the beginning, to capture the most relevant conversation of all of the variables that are strung together that can give people a very comprehensive picture of the complexities of what disclosure is and why it is so extremely relevant to the now. I had no idea kind of the narrative arc that was coming from that. As a documentary filmmaker, you're really just kind of going into the experience, looking at your different subjects, understanding the work that they've done, researching them, and formulating, questions and conversation starters to engage them to, pull out that understanding, that humanness. And then, so the intentions there were to create that. And then what happened in that experience, of the film continually evolving as far as, another player coming on at the last minute, the story evolving and changing based off of the relevancy of what was happening with the UAP report in real time as we were, finishing and concluding with that. The thing that I feel like the entire team did and that we did in that experience is we rode that river throughout all of this. And at the closing, and when we had the opportunity to finally, put the seal on this thing and put it to bed out there as a piece of art for the public, I think what we captured in all of this is an incredible story for this moment and right now. And it goes beyond UFOs. It goes beyond politics. It goes beyond the separations that we feel of right and left, gender, man, woman, everything in between, everyone in between, all the different separations that we have with race, with language, with borders and all of that. There's a very common human story here. And it is that, our origins are very complex and our history is very complex. And it would seem that there has been a concerted effort for many, many millennia to distort or dissuade that story to a certain extent. and what's happening now within the reality and the paradigm that we're experiencing on the breadth of this, quantum age, this transformation into technologies that go beyond even the capabilities of what you can even fathom in this moment, the ability to calculate infinity, essentially. The precipice of that moment here and what that means for us collectively in our history, and remembering and understanding the deeper truths within ourselves. This is what's captured in The Observers. And the intention around The Observers is kind of like a dual play on words. These are people that have been observing this phenomenon, these anomalies, their entire careers, or they've been experiencers, they've had interactions with them. But it's also around that quantum reality and the understanding that this quantum age is upon us, and understanding the new technologies, how they work, the new formulas in that world, the new science in that space will literally change how we perceive our reality. And the understanding of entanglement and synchronicities and the beauty of chaos that refines itself into the most perfect moments of pristine clarity and grace that you find in your life that leads you on your own paths and inspiration. All of this stuff is collapsing into the now and collapsing into all of us. And along with all of the separations and things that have kept us from each other and knowing each other, this is the end of the age in that experience. And it's a really beautiful thing to witness if you are able to love the darkness and love the light and see the balance in the ability of holding unconditional love and surrender and forgiveness in this experience. I think we are really, really on the precipice of an amazing moment, and that's what the film has captured, I feel.
Well, that was spoken in a moment of clarity, and I appreciate all of that. But now I'm going to make you laugh, because we were given a timeline to make this film.
Correct.
And I was brought on as a producer to help. Okay, it's a team effort. But you guys gave me the schedule. We all had the schedule, but I'm thinking, this is impossible. I know what day we're talking today, and I know when November is, and this is impossible. It's go time. And we did. We got down to work immediately. But here's the deal. We go and we shoot. And normally when stuff like this gets shot, you're hoping for a couple of minutes of brilliance from each person, and then somehow you can stretch it out to a complete film, right? That's the goal. That's normal. I was there, and I saw hours and hours and hours of some of the most amazing statements and footage imaginable. And then we go to the next day and the next day, and hours of the most incredible stuff. We shot the dinner conversation. So we had 3 hours a night of dinner conversations that were all recorded. And I stepped back and said to you, well, that's a gift, but how in the heck are you going to make this? You've got too much now. And that is more work than when you don't have enough, right? Because when you don't have enough, you know where to go. Let's stretch it out. When you've got too much good stuff, now you've got to force stuff onto the cutting room floor. And you've got a very limited timeline here, Roger, to pull this off. I don't know how many hours a day you've worked, but how did you pull that off in such a short time span to get this film made?
The incredible team around the film, was really at the core of that. There's no way we could have produced what we did in the time that we did and the quality that we did without just everybody being hands on deck in regards to the best place that they can contribute. So first I just want to give the team, which includes you, which includes all of the talent that came together, which includes all the producers and the associate producers, the crew gear, the post cast, crew, everybody that was a part of this team, which is a very small, intimate group of people. I work with and have worked with, very close people over the years on these films of mine, and I've grown a trust and a respect for a lot of people. These topics are not easy to approach, and they're constantly commercialized, and so trying to find people, crews, and post-production people and producers that not only understand how to make a great film and do that, but also to let a filmmaker tell a story and I tell crazy stories right now in the standpoint of what these films are and have been, and they rub up against a lot of the kind of structures that most people have in place about their reality. And I think it's really healthy for people to take apart their reality at times, disassemble it and reassemble it, because it's constantly evolving. And I think that's one of the messages in The Observers. And that concept in itself, it's like Schrodinger's cat. What you choose to what you choose to observe is what's manifest here. And the sponsoring thought of that observation, it can be hacked and can be infiltrated by media and influence all the time. And so disassembling yourself based off of your belief systems, trying to hold not, extremely bold opinions, but understand that all, information is information. It's just flowing through you. I always think of that. There's a great diagram where, it shows an object being lit from 3 different directions, and the object has a square shadow on one side, a circle shadow on another, and a triangle on another. That is the perfect example of where we are at right now collectively in understanding truth. People like to think that, there is one unifying truth, but the problem is we can only experience on a spectrum of perceptions there. So what is truth there for you in that moment? It's all determined by your perceptions, but it's also, how you perceive. What are the traumas you're perceiving yourself through? What are the ego, and programming experiences that you're perceiving through? So where I'm at and trying to kind of do this work collectively, with other artists and collaboration and, people like yourself, et cetera, is really trying to open up the idea that there is an opportunity for us to not give anyone a place to divide us anymore. And that place is understanding that everyone holds the truth collectively, but no one holds it individually. And that pursuit for truth is continual, it is infinite, and it is what drives all life through reincarnations, through the procession of densities, however you perceive the spiritual incarnation, natural science incarnation of life and consciousness. It is a continual infinite procession that we are experiencing. And, the thing that drives that is the search for truth and understanding in anyone. So when it comes down to The Observers and at the end of this shoot, sitting with, 12, 14 hours of incredible conversations, you're right. It's a madness experience for me. It really is. And I thank my family continually, my partner, my love, for the ability to hold space for me in those places, because it's highly intuitive. It really is about diving into that work and intuiting the message, jam. You're a musician, so you understand these things, Jimmy, what it's like to jam with people. You get together, sometimes there's cohesion and it's great, and you've got these awesome jams that turn into structures for phrases and songs that become hits, and then other times there's no chemistry. The chemistry that was happening on The Observers is like nothing I have ever experienced ever before in any of my films. And getting into that work at the end and trying to, pull that all together in a single vision in 90 minutes, it was intense. And everybody carried me through that. We carried each other through that, and that's what the work represents. But all of those other hours, all of that other footage, we are releasing throughout this entire campaign to raise awareness around, this idea and this movement building, this observer movement, this willingness for people to observe anomalies, to speak about anomalies, to transmute the idea of waiting for a disclosure into we are observing anomalies and we are highlighting them, and this is now public knowledge. All of that stuff kind of maturated and, found its gestation in the creative collaboration that was The Observers, and it's just starting to sprout right now, man.
Now, there also, we've got about 2 minutes, and sitting on the inside like I am with this film enables me to ask the real questions,
Exactly.
Dude, you've got another film.
Yeah.
You have got another film that may be even better than The Observers.
Yes.
Are you going to do that?
Yes, and this is a long-term thing. The idea of The Observers here, and looking at a movement of observers that are willing to take to the direct action digital world, which means we understand protesting and direct action in the world here, where we see people out on the streets for Black Lives Matter or Occupy, these things, these social movements that have happened, that are highlighting this stuff. But the world is so digital now. What does it really mean to be direct action, from a digital standpoint? And there's a lot of ifs, ahs, and buts. I mean, one of the things I'm, been working on for a while is the Austin Steinbart story, which is a totally insane, crazy story in whole. But at the root of it is really understanding that there was somebody that, focused on direct action from a digital perspective towards a corporation and served, time in jail because of that. That digital world for us right now to actually be proactive in using the town squares, these social media platforms, to interact and connect and, push these topics out there and share them. That world is getting more restricted and more restricted, it would seem, every day. And this is an incredible opportunity for the people in this experience to understand that along with the quantum age of this technology and the powers of that is really understanding of digital sovereignty as you as a digital being here. And that doesn't mean, the transhumanism merging of you as a digital person. It actually means the separation and sovereignty of that, and making sure that your digital imprint, the things you like, the things you take photographs of on your Instagram, the meals you eat, your circles, all of this data is being calculated against you to serve you up ads and God knows what else in regards to, lots of information out there from different whistleblowers and the abilities of these systems and data collection. And so this world, this digital world of information that we are all participating in, we have avatars in there in the form of our own personality profiles based off of all of these calculated variables. And so the idea of having sovereignty in the digital world and protecting your information in that space, and then going to the digital world with direct action around, a hashtag, a simple hashtag, The Observers. It's the ability for you to snap a photo. Did you see a UFO? Did you see Bigfoot? Did you see a ghost? Did you, need to tell a story about a memory that came back to you, a hypnotherapy regression? The ability for you to now tell your story as a simple observer, not from the standpoint of judgment of anything. This is just what you've observed. That is the power of all of us collectively observing the truth together. And the more those hashtags build up and everyone starts sharing together on those spaces, that observer algorithm in the digital world, that hashtag is archiving this experience from all of these people observing these anomalies. And it will not be able to be ignored anymore. And it is okay to talk about it. That is also at the core of this message, in the film here.
Now, I'm going to speak last before the break, but I'm going to say this. We have heads of movie studios listening to this interview right now. They're listening to you and I. So I'm going to put everybody on notice, including yourself. Are we going to see an Observers Part 2? Yes or no?
Most definitely.
That's what I'm talking about. That's my man right there, Roger Richards. We'll be right back. We'll be right back after this short break. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, director Roger R. Richards. We are announcing and talking about his new film, The Observers. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and the UnX Network. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, The X.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of forbiddenknowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to forbiddenknowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on forbiddenknowledge.tv today.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Sobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
This is Toby Kauble. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are also Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, director Roger R. Richards is here talking about his new film. It is called The Observers. And before I get back into the conversation, Roger, let's talk about the key thing here that everybody wants to know. The premiere date. When is it?
I believe it is November 18th. Yes, November 18th.
November 18th. When you get a date like that, it's not your traditional date. When you get a date like that, are you nervous?
As far as the release date, no. That's where I'm not that nervous anymore. The delivery date is the nervous date, Jimmy. You should know that, man. Getting it in there and putting the final touches on and making sure that's it. That's the nervousness. Once it's in, that's it. The delivery date is a great celebration. This is where the art gets to be unveiled into the world. Everyone's hard work. You get to see it come alive. I've said many times before that, these pieces of art that we create, as filmmakers, as collaborators, as little groups of people that are focused on doing this work, for the public through the catharsis of creating art, they are shamanic objects. They have an entire energy and power of their own based off of the collective contribution and the individual archetypes that create the unified hypersigil of what that entire body of work is in that experience. And so, that's essentially what any film is from my perspective around what we create. It's the ability to use art in direct action. It's the ability to not be out there smashing windows and setting fires, but actually setting fires and smashing windows in the consciousness of people that have blocked them out of this experience, and really kind of lighting the fires of inspiration and letting the light in from that standpoint through art. That's definitely what I see.
Now, after the film releases, there are a couple of key moments we'll talk about after the film's release. I can't wait to tell a couple of stories.
Yeah, I know.
But there is talking about the delivery date, right? And I know, and what we were going through at that moment, and there was a lot of pressure, and we knew we had a great film, but there was a couple of key pieces that needed to go into play. I'm not going to get into that, but the pressure that was on myself, you, everybody else involved, and then things started to click. And things happened on the delivery date. Right? It was like, man, the pressure, and then, but this is the thing, and we'll talk about it after the film releases because it's a lot of fun. But the day after, you and I laughed, and we had a chance to relax a little bit, and go, holy crap, okay, all right, but. That was a big relief. But that pressure, though, causes creativity. It causes magic to happen. And it comes through in this film, doesn't it? I mean, seriously, I remember calling you, and I said, there are two moments in this film that were a gift. They were a gift. Yeah. And that happens only because of pressure, doesn't it?
It does, definitely. And I think, there's a great metaphor of, pressure creating diamonds in that space. That clarity, pristine beauty, just worth, high quality, all of those things that pressure does. As an artist, I know that world just like so well. Where you can just, as an artist, flop around in your imagination fraternity and be happy with it. Like, that's the most amazing thing about it. Like, you can jam forever, but what does it mean to actually create a piece of art that becomes a living archetype, that, like I said, a shamanic object, a song or film or, a painting or, whatever expressions of creation essentially you want, cooking food or architecture, whatever your desires are. But when those things actually come out of the imagination zone and the world of daydreaming and, the infinite floods of creativity and have to be crystallized into a format, it usually only happens with artists under pressure and deadlines because, that's the only way to wrangle us in that experience. And so for an artist, like I know many people that, have a very traumatic relationship with deadlines in their life as artists, and it brings up a lot of trauma. For me, I get more hyper-focused. I get more clear. I get more the pressure. And that's what I love about this team too. It's like we are all in that experience where, the more pressure that's there, the more that's needed from the collective, all of us kind of leaned into that space, and we're just hammering away in all of the different avenues to button this thing up and get it done. And then me as the filmmaker just organizing the story and just making sure that it was there based off of everything. Those moments, I mean, I didn't sleep. I think I slept that last week before delivery date, maybe 2 hours a day for, 7 days straight, like literally just grinding and then flying down to drop the master and all of those things. And I was seeing vapor trails at that point. I think everybody was just, living in an alternate reality. And that was part of what was amazing about the film, is actually being in touch with that experience of pulling that stuff in. So, the pressure creates diamonds, man. And the pressure wrangles the creative spirit of infinity into something that embodies into an object that becomes alive and a living experience of itself that people can interact with.
You were able to, and I didn't see it at the time. I was there for the filming. I was listening to the questions, but you were obviously asking these questions in 3D, because you're picturing the film later on, and only you know what is going on inside of your head and how you were going to weave these things together. Now, this isn't, I'm not giving away anything in the film. I don't want to do that. But, there's always a but, right? But there is a section of the film that involves JFK. And this section of the film with JFK has virtually nothing to do with UFOs or ETs or contact. But the questions that you asked of everybody and the way that you were able to weave the JFK narrative into the film and why that is important to where we are today was pretty incredible. Did you have that from the word go? And I want everybody, when you see the film, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, everybody. But did you have that planned? Was that pre-planned?
It wasn't. I mean, the conversation was pre-planned. I wanted to have that with everyone and see what came out of that. I've been tracking the JFK story for, forever in my life around, conspiracy theory investigation, etc. It's the origin of that word in itself. And I always look as a poet and as an artist that uses words as at the etymology of words, and actually the vibrations and the use of those sounds and within their etymology. And so the idea of the conspiracy theory, that word being associated with the trauma and the event of, in some people's minds, the most, greatest American president that, has existed in some spaces, regardless of him, being the best or whatever. He was a massive representation at the time in the 60s of a transforming world in regards to race, in regards to gender, in regards to transparency with the government, in regards to military-industrial complex. These things, are incredibly relevant around JFK as an archetype, and his killing and his assassination and the embodiment and canonization and the spell casting that is used through the idea of conspiracy theory as a term has been something that I've been pulling apart for a long time. And so, the way that I transmute it in my work is looking at, creating a new genre, very much like true crime. And, we're focusing on true conspiracy, of really kind of pulling out the different observations around these anomalous things that don't add up. And so with Kennedy, the thing that's, and it's not necessarily directly related to the UFOs here, like you had pointed out in this, there are some things that, some of the people comment on that are, looking at those aspects that are interesting to look at. But really at the core of what Kennedy represents is the idea of internecine warfare. The idea that our intelligence agencies, our intelligence apparatus does not work with each other in the best interest for the American people. In fact, that they have been compartmentalized and in some places completely rogue in their abilities to run their own programs, to fund their own programs through black budgets and all different types of extreme means that are not in alignment with the idea of what I think the American taxpayer wants to see their dollars be spent on in these programs. And so the idea of internecine warfare between these agencies that began, back in the 60s and has been marching forward up until now. The battles between the NSA, the CIA, the DIA, the FBI, all of these, 17 intelligence agencies. Now it's 18 here in regards to the Space Force. But that whole apparatus there, the internecine warfare, is what is at the absolute core of the UFO phenomenon. If these intelligence agencies that had access to these different events that happened, they had access to these technologies, they were open about these things, and it was public about them, there would be a whole transformation in regards to our society right now. And that's essentially what we're pulling out through the observers and the idea of choosing to observe collectively together these anomalies. And so with the JFK thing and the fact that the JFK files have been sealed for so long, and Jesse Ventura gave a great section in this that was really focused on that, because he was heavily involved in those researchers as an independent, person there, but also as the governor of Minnesota, somebody that had access to, additional information and was looking at these things. So, he gives a really great perspective and whole around those things that happened with Kennedy and how they played out. But the internecine warfare and the inability for our intelligence apparatus to work collectively together in an honest way for the American people is at the core of the ufology, at the core of the UFO and UAP phenomenon here, but also the main focus of the disclosure movement, and has been trying to get these people to give it to us, right? Well, it's not going to happen. And that's what this whole film is kind of like bringing together in the wider perspective of how that compartmentalization causes a schizophrenic reality for our governmental systems. And that's what's coming up for us right now. We're seeing that in the right-left battles, the intense political agendas that are associated with, the medical things that are going on right now. There are many different things that are playing into this political system that is sick and dying and wanting to be put out of its frickin' misery. And so the ability for us to watch this machine collapse, why we rebuild a new world for ourselves collectively from a grassroots level, and not have them rebuild the cage for us that we just kind of walk into on a great reset, but we actually rebuild and we don't allow this experience to happen again. That's what's being provided right now to people. We can recraft our reality. We can create this reality based off of what we collectively observe. And if we observe beauty, grace, healing, all of the abundance that can come with inalienable human rights, meaning housing, healthcare, education for every human on this planet. We manifest that through what we observe, and we change reality overnight, and these old systems are gone, and then new systems are ushered in ways that we would never have imagined in that process.
Well, so you have this label of activist, and hearing that, it sounds like you're living that label. You are delivering that label. But for you, what is the definition? What is an activist?
Well, an activist is anybody that is actively participating in a campaign to raise awareness, some type of injustice, socially or otherwise. That's the general, term of an activist. But what it means to me and why I choose to associate myself with that term is because it's really about the choice to constantly be active in crafting your reality as a creator, as opposed to surrendering your sovereignty to the idea of being governed. And those go back to the core of my anarchist principles that I've held, the entirety of my life pretty much, in my own understanding of natural law and accountability and morality. And so these things, from the standpoint of an activist when it comes to me and how I perceive that, are parallel to me being an artist. The artist and the activist in me is the same thing. It's that hypersigil of those two archetypes. I create art as, a weapon and a tool to help take down and rebuild the experiences that I feel like that need to happen on a better level that serve people their sovereignty and hold them accountable in those experiences. And so the movements that I've been a part of in the past, whether they've been anti-war, or March Against Monsanto, or Occupy, these experiences where I've participated as an activist, whether it's been an organizer or just part of the crowds essentially in those spaces, that that ability and choice to be active in the world and changing it really defines for me that identity of an activist. But for me, it's synonymous in my work with the artist activist, activist artist archetype.
Yeah, and what is interesting, this is theater of the mind. So for the audience, I want you to understand what I am seeing. Friggin' Roger's got a black hoodie on. He's in the dark. I can barely see his face, and it's like this. That we have to mask his face for this interview.
and really, it's just like I have an old burnt out bulb in here. I'm comfy. It's warm. My hoodie's snugly. I'm in bed. It's hilarious. I mean, that's such a good metaphor for. I think when you were reading my bio, I was cracking up because I do have somewhat of like an infamous reputation for the work there, and there are many different thoughts and ideas and opinions out there of people that try to kind of label or give their opinions about me, and that's okay. I'm happy to be whatever I need to be for anyone out there in that experience. It's part of kind of the Heyoka path that I have kind of chosen in the work that I do as a catalyst for people, but also the work that I do for myself and the catharsis of understanding my own story and my own traumas and those experiences. And so I've always been attracted to real dark stuff, Jimmy. I love heavy metal music. I grew up listening to it. I loved dark comedy. I loved horror movies. I loved, like finding bones in the forest. The ability to love darkness and find beauty in it is something that I really hold dear to myself because it has been a key part of being able to access the greatest well of unconditional love I've ever experienced in my life, and to really look at the atrocities that are happening in this world right now, the service to self-greed that drives people, the suffering that they put each other through, the torture that they lay upon each other and themselves. If you don't have the ability to surrender and cry in the beauty for that suffering and that catalyst for all of us growing together, choosing to experience that, there is really no ability, in my opinion, to actually utilize this whole experience. You're then living in an off-balance way in some form or another. So, yep, I'm big and scary and got a big dark hoodie right here, and the lights are creepy, but I'm just a big snuggly teddy bear that's in a hoodie and just comfy.
Your secret is safe with me.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, we'll keep the dark image. Yeah, that Roger Richards guy scares the crap out of me. That's right. Exactly. You better watch yourself. But I wanted to ask you, because we've got so many familiar names in this film, the best and the brightest. There's no doubt about that. But I think the world is getting introduced to somebody very, very special, and that's Debbie Kauble. And your opportunity to sit down with Debbie and her contribution to this film, I don't think it could be really measured. But what did she bring to the film for you?
Debbie was an incredible person that came with Linda there. Linda has connected with Debbie over the years, and Debbie is an experiencer that's, had contact and, work with Bud Hopkins too, back in the day in regards to, her experiences, etc. And Linda brought her forward in here as part of, the idea of bringing an experiencer in that wasn't, a big A-list, from the standpoint of the ufology world, but somebody that had a very, very sincere, memorable experience that, was really grounded and balanced in that. I mean, Whitley Strieber is obviously in that same world too, but he's also an author and has been, a big part of this community sense communion and the embodiment of that gray on the cover of that, that book then. And so with Debbie, I wasn't really knowing what I was expecting. And when we started off, we had originally, if I can remember right, we're just planning on having Linda and Debbie in an interaction with each other. And as I kind of listened to the story more, I just had this instinct to really kind of draw that out more and wanted to do an interview with Debbie independently. And she actually ended up being the very last interview of the entire shoot in the close there in LA. And I wasn't expecting for, what it was to be in that space. And it was incredibly emotive. It was incredibly shocking, intense, walking through her these experiences and seeing her being so raw and available to talk about these things openly, but then also to see a woman that has dealt with these really extreme experiences that would drive most people crazy, and they do drive most people crazy in a lot of different ways. The way that she was able to, use that in her own catharsis. Like I said, the ability to see the darkness and love it. There were pains in it. There were hardships for her in that experience through the abductions and some of the things that actually, she experienced in that there. But in the end, that sovereign place that she was to arrive at was that she walked that path for a very specific journey for herself. And it is arriving now daily more and more. And this instinct in her and many other abductees out there, we all feel that there is something on the horizon here, and that horizon moment is approaching. So Debbie was definitely that archetype, and I just have great appreciation for her story, and to Linda also for bringing her into the experience.
Yeah, and what was I think what is so interesting for me personally, but for the audience, is that Debbie and I went to the same high school. Right, we grew up in the same neighborhood. In Indianapolis, and these events happened a couple of blocks from my first apartment, right there. Well, putting that aside, this connection, but when the audience listens to Debbie and sees her, you realize she's just the person next door, right? Yeah. She is every American. Yeah. And if she's got this story, you need to be careful when you're walking down the street who you're looking at, because you just don't know, do you?
You do
right?
not.
And that's what Debbie represents.
And she does. And she represents the world out there of people that are holding back, that don't want to talk about this stuff, haven't want to talk about it. Maybe it's too scary. Maybe it was too traumatizing. Maybe they're embarrassed by it. Maybe they're completely terrified by it. Maybe they don't understand it. All of those things. But there are millions of people in this world for decades that have been recording these things, talking about them. They've been a part of our culture through generations and generations of, oral folklore that's been passed down, hieroglyphics, all of these things. This is part of our collective subconscious in that space, all of us there. But right now, and this experience, since the 30s and 40s, when the UFO, that word UFO kind of manifested into form and became this, deified perspective of the shape and this idea of, these other life forms out there that could be far beyond advanced, spiritually, technologically. Those messages and the things that have been coming through since the 30s and 40s and, all the way up to now, there are mass amounts of abductees and people that have experiencers that don't talk about it publicly. And so the opportunity, again, for the Observers film here is to give people a movement, around the idea of disclosing these things from a grassroots perspective, but also the idea of I'm an observer. You don't have to judge me. You don't have to tell me if my story's true. Maybe I'm a drunk. Maybe I've got a bad history. It doesn't matter. It's the fact that people can share these things collectively and let that burden out finally. And it doesn't have to be, judged upon. It can just be witnessed. It can be a collective knowledge base of understanding these anomalous things together, because the reason these things are so complex and the reason why they've been hidden for so long is the schizophrenia of compartmentalization that we have in this society that mirrors the same schizophrenia in the mind of compartmentalizing these scary topics away from ourselves, not wanting to talk about them, not wanting to address them.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Roger R. Richards. We're talking about his new film, premiering November 18th. It is called The Observers. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Roger after this short break. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hello, Fadernauts. Ray Sobbs here, inviting all of you to join us for the launch of a brand new broadcasting platform called the UNX Network. Tune in Halloween night as we go live on the X Streams for the first time to reveal our plans for this brand new and exciting platform. If you have an interest in the paranormal, UFOs, cryptids, ghosts, hidden histories, and alternative research, breakthrough technology, you will want to make the X your brand new home. Our programs will feature many familiar faces and even more new ones, and our listeners can interact and help investigative journalists, authors, researchers, and hosts who work diligently in the fight against the ideological divide that exists in media today. This platform is for critical thinkers seeking the alternatives to mainstream thought. So join us October the 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern at unacknowledged.com as we kick off the mothership, the UNX Network, explaining the unexplained.
Fadernauts, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now. Fadernauts, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Roger R. Richards. A little public service announcement. I just read that the Braves won the World Series. I don't do sports anymore, but if you're out there, you're listening to the show and you don't know, Braves just won the World Series. Very cool. Happened during the show tonight. Now, Roger, here's the deal. If there is one. Here's the deal. My comments to the production team, to the film company, to everybody involved in this film has been, over the last week, buckle up, kids. This one is about to go. This is going to be a big one. And I'm not saying it because I'm involved with the film. I've watched it and I know what's going on here. It's an excellent film. But that's not and it's not the message. There's another key component here when I say buckle up. It's the production. It's the music, it's the editing, it's the special effects, it is the cinematography, it is some of the guerrilla camera work, which I love, by the way. It's done really well. But today the standards are really high for production. It's something that there are a lot of talented people out there making really great stuff. And you have to, if you're going onto the world stage, you're now held to a higher standard. The public is expecting greatness. Well, you delivered here on a very extreme deadline. How important were all of those key elements to you, Roger?
I mean, I think they were important to the whole team, you know, all of us in this work, and especially the ones that have worked with me for a while, you know, through multiple projects now. And we really have gotten into, you know, honing this work together, this craft, you know, collectively. And so each one of these people, they're bringing their, you know, decisions, whether it was the decision for, you know, the set, for example, here, you know, Adrian Youngblood, one of the producers there, you know, scoured along with, you know, Bella, her, you know, support and assistant there, finding that space and creating that space there for the you know, that held the look and the feel for a lot of the film throughout that. The cinematography and the ability to kind of, you know, have a dirtier look where you're roaming with a camera behind the scenes. You get to see a little bit that's happening in the shadows in addition to the production that's going on. You know, these elements and things that we all collectively as creatives, you know, poured into this you know, work. It's the refinements of each one of these individuals and their aesthetics. And as the director, you know, you serve kind of as the same, you know, role of, you know, the songwriter in that place. It's like you're looking for, you know, the riffs. You're looking for what people are collaborating with and contributing on, the things that make them, like, you know, that they're inspired, that they love in those experiences. And then you try to, you know, create something as a maestro in all of that and be able to, you know, conduct that experience. You know, it's a great honor to be at the helm of that type of experience. And it's a burden too, from the standpoint of a joyful burden, where the responsibility of carrying something like that as a filmmaker through, but also carrying everyone's work and collaborations and intentions and ideas and feelings and interest in all of that. You know, it's a heavy role to take on in those spaces, but that's a part of the pressure that, you know, you were talking about before that kind of creates this diamond. It's everybody contributing to their best, and so the Observers represents that now. You know, we're in a world now with the streaming wars and the ability to, you know, self-distribute your work here and do affordable, you know, pieces of quality filmmaking as an independent artist that are up there being released on the same platforms, the TVODs and the SVODs, that all of the Hollywood ones are doing. And that is a very unique experience that has not been available, you know, before necessarily in the way that it is now to filmmakers. And as we see the dissolving of, you know, these government structures and old paradigms out there, you know, religious paradigms and institutions on that way, we're also seeing the dissolving of what has been the gatekeepers of the artists, you know, the film studios and the record labels. These this new generation, this transformation transformation into the world that's marching towards decentralization and, cryptocurrencies and blockchain understandings of, what it means to protect your work and contribute to a pool, but also, understanding intellectual property in a different way too, and really looking at the collective knowledge base of everyone building over generations these ideas and all of these things. That's all being opened up now for the creatives of this world. And, one of the biggest messages that I always have for creatives is you guys are the most powerful people in this world in regards to the ability to change and influence collective consciousness. That is at the core of the ability to change this reality, literally change this reality around you. It's why you've been targeted. It's why your work has been targeted. It's why it's been abused. It's why it's been, put out for market to the highest bidder, and you received the least portion of that. They have enslaved you in those places, and that paradigm, that kingdom that was Hollywood, is kind of crumbling away and revealing a new structure in the world of creative artists. And it is your time now, you guys, to step into this role and start creating. There are all the tools at your fingertips now, affordable. No one has any excuses anymore. You don't need a studio to do a film. You don't need, artist representation and, record companies to produce and publish an album. Get into the work, find the catharsis yourself and what you're feeling now and what you're experiencing now. Channel it into the work and, be absolutely vicious in your ability to hold on to your visions and channel them through and bring them through into these final objects here. These things will have some of the strongest effects on this world, that are even possible in the ability of an individual's contribution. They ripple out, they cascade out, and they have this exponential effect if they're done from the heart and really channel somebody's catharsis. Those are living objects in that shamanic object world. So that's kind of how I see that perspective around the artist and the observers and the talents that came in to make that such a high quality, beautiful product, but also just a beautiful, piece of work in itself. It's everybody's taste and aesthetics being folded into it.
Well, and take me through some of the talent, if we can, briefly, like editing. Are you that director standing over your editor every single cut and you're commenting? Or are you giving a certain artistic license to that process and letting your editor help you out?
The story arc is extremely something that I protect and covet in regards to my own responsibility for playing out. I always work with different people's opinions, from talents to editors or otherwise, based off of the story arc. But ultimately, that's my place to kind of figure out and and get into. And so my process here with the observers, there's a great Keanu Reeves film. I'm trying to remember the name of it, where he plays a priest Constantine.
Yeah, Constantine.
There's this heavy set priest that's kind of somewhat of an oracle, and he goes back into his office, and he kind of rolls his eyes back in his head and starts fishing around through piles of newspapers. That is exactly what it was like for me, fishing around the media bins of the observers, just in this intuitive, just days of what am I doing? I have such little time. Oh my gosh. And so taking that experience on and doing the first edit myself in regards to the narrative cut, I went through and I pulled that whole experience and I edited it, from that standpoint of really kind of getting down what needed to be there. And then from that standpoint, I used that as the base foundation to turn over to the additional editors that are working with me in that experience, doing the title sequences and, doing the B-rolls and all of the kind of different After Effects, stuff like that. So it's a collaborative work of all of us kind of putting together these final pieces in regards to the post-production. And it's really kind of everybody contributing and me there massaging and giving direction, listening to instincts of people and ideas, making hard decisions for time, money, all of those types of things as a director. But the narrative arc, that's a very private process for me that I really get into and finding, and it's incredibly intuitive. So I just kind of do that in my own reality and own bubble.
Now, there's a fifth Beatle here. It's the music.
Yes.
How did you pull that off?
So I have been working with Rene Armenta for many films, in this experience since the very beginning, honestly, of my first film here. And he is an incredible artist in general, in all different formats and expressions in himself. But he's incredibly talented in the music world. And so, we work very intuitively too, where, we kind of give each other sections or give each other ideas for different themes and moods that we were looking for. And Renee scored with that. And then also Kirsten, who was the sound designer and also organized a lot of the score that was working side by side with her partner, Chris, in the editing. And then also with Adam, who was, handling a lot of the VFX and things like that. Kirsten was pulling in sound design for that also. So again, this is a place where, I give ideas. I meet with these people. I give them the concepts that I see visually that are there. I get their ideas and their feedback on that. And we mold collectively the dialogue together until it gets a resonance that's kind of hewn round and it feels good for everybody. And we're holding this sphere of like, yep, this is what we want to do. And this is, where we take it forward. And then they go and they create and they contribute and we dial in little bits more and little bits more. But Kristen and Renee did an incredible job as far as intuiting the sound design and score for the film too.
Now, another interesting, and the audience needs to hear this. I think everybody on the crew in production is an experiencer or has witnessed things and is very woke. I hate to use that word, but they are part of this community. So this is a labor of love for them too as well, where they were coming up to me and everybody else on the set, the cast, with questions. And they wanted, they were involved in the project. And that's very interesting here. I don't think we have an outsider that is involved in this project, do we?
We do not, and that's part of this team that's around me in my work and what we've created collectively. We were all pulled together because, we have had things that have led us on these paths of trying to understand these experiences that are, anomalous in the perspective of the norm that everybody accepts as, kind of our reality in whatever form that is, culturally and whatnot for different locations. But the idea, for us is this is that catharsis again. It's the work. We were on the path as activists. We were on the path to do something about this, and we found the work together. We found catharsis together, and we've all had different pieces to each other's puzzles, to be perfectly honest, in this experience. And our story as a collective is continually unfolding here and also folding more people into it, and more people are finding this experience and wanting to create with us, and really understanding the unique place that we hold as a collective, that place of kind of being a gray walker from the standpoint of just holding space for conversation. We're not there to necessarily pick apart people's experiences here. Right. We're not there to necessarily even give our opinions from that standpoint. We're there to hold space for a conversation and weave a mosaic and tapestry from that through a piece of art that helps us in our catharsis understand our story. And so I think that experience was a big part of all of this for everybody, without a doubt.
What I really enjoyed, and specifically, this is stuff that everybody will see later, but we did a round table in this living room setting, and which we shot for hours. But to hear when you say, cut, let's take a break. And we hit that moment, and to have sound or lights or a cameraman, woo, right, yell, and because they are a part of the conversation. They are listening to what is going on, and to hear that coming back from the crew, right? This isn't a stuntman scene with a car crash, right, where you get a woo. This is conversation that is happening when you get the screams of appreciation. And you picked up on that too, didn't you? Everybody was in the moment.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think, with that conversation in particular. And, for the people that are listening right now, this roundtable that happened was, everybody in the cast, essentially, a majority of people here, were able to kind of get together and share a very candid conversation. And this was kind of the brainchild in the moment of, Leon Kennedy. You guys kind of went out to dinner and, had a big conversation beforehand. And what he saw there was the incredible conversation created by some very old friends that have been a long-term, a part of this community. And it has been a labor of love and a labor of suffering in that experience. And he was fascinated by the conversation at dinner that night, and then approached me and the rest of the crew and wanted to look at this idea of the round table kind of capturing that same, that feeling that was there. And so Leon really kind of, was the brainchild that brought that in. And it was amazing to watch you guys. And I cannot wait for the public to see those things. And these things will be released free, trickled out to over the rest of the launch campaign here out to the public. You guys will all be able to see it. And the synchronicities and the unique kind of connections that happened between these incredible old friends, colleagues, at some places, greatly disagreeing with each other, but then also, being able to share a conversation with respect around the fact, again, that no one has the 100% truth. No one was coming from that standpoint of, this is my reality, and just because you believe something different, you're wrong. It was really shown in that roundtable and that conversation, the unique ability you guys have to roll with each other and experience this stuff and be in your own, interpretations of that while also honoring each other. So I can't wait for that roundtable to make it out. And kudos to, Leon Kennedy for, pulling that together. And then also, Maureen Levette for your hairstyle and beautiful makeup that's in there, man. I can't wait to reveal that style. It's awesome.
Oh, man. Well, you got to give people something to talk about, I guess. But
indeed,
yeah. Well, I did it, and it's on film. There's no taking that back. But I wanted to when you're in that round table, when we were all there, we've got a little bit of an audience, right? There's probably 10 people that are on the crew that are there working at that moment. But when we were at dinner, that's different because there's nobody there but us. And we spoke very openly, but we also captured that on film too as well. I was there for both, but a little bit different of a dynamic in that there's nobody there. Now this is just open conversation that is happening over dinner. And very much like, what would happen with, say, like Anthony Bourdain. Exactly. You know what I mean? Where it is just, we're going to put it literally on the table and have a conversation. Will the world get a chance to see some of that rogue camera work that we all shot over dinner?
Yes, most definitely. And I think, right now, the marketing campaign group that's around us here to support this film and getting the message around the film are elated with the amount of, additional media that we have to share around these things and invite people into this bigger world. Like you said, the film in itself is 90 minutes and it's great. You can see it on all the main platforms like iTunes and, Amazon and Roku and all of those things. But in the world of kind of free media and the bigger picture that came around that, the behind the scenes stuff, the stuff that was just like had to make the cutting room floor. There's so much good stuff that had to hit the cutting room floor. These little small micro conversations and pieces of micro content will all find its way out into the public here too for free throughout this campaign. And it's media that people can use in a direct action effort in the digital world to share. You know, when you see these clips and you know, you feel connected to them and you want to, you know, support this movement, or you feel like you want to be a part of this movement, the best way that you can do that is help get that out there and really kind of put that message out there and share that bits of information and start conversations based off of all of this stuff. That's the best way that you can be a part and contribute here to the observers and you know, the observer movement in whole. And so all of this stuff, like you're saying, the little tidbits, you know, that were captured at, you know, dinner and the round table and the individual exposés that were done, plus all the cutting room floor, it's all kind of, you know, folding into the experience of what we're sharing with this, you know, celebration that is the film.
There's before we get to the break, I'm going to ask you something directly. I'm a big fan of Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
And I felt a little Kubrick-esque on the set.
Yes.
Oh, and I hope you understand. We've never discussed this, okay? Yeah. But that vibe, that feeling, that crispness, also the what's the word I want to use here? A little kitschy.
Yeah.
Is that the right word? Was that was that intentional? Is there a little nod to Stanley in the delivery?
Most definitely, and you know, Stanley in regards to filmmakers in my world who I respect is you know, at the top tier there, at the center of the table, at the you know, at the north position of holding the space for all filmmakers that truly wanted to create art and create catharsis through art, but also the subconscious that delivered the archetypes and the archetypal stories and the narratives that are in Stanley's work here, because he was such a deep dreamer in that space. He brought in a lot, and there are a lot of messages there that are there for people to see and understand in the subconscious, but also in, you know, pulling apart his work and really looking at it. And there's, you know, there's plenty of rabbit holes out there for people that haven't done that before to stumble down and look into his work, and it's incredible. But his ability to use, again, art in that same way as a weapon and a tool and a catharsis for himself is something I've always admired in that experience and aspire to in my own work to be present with all the time. And so, yes, those things, those, you know, different kitschy stylizations and things that came together, it wasn't intentional to mimic his, you know, work there. But as those things came together and felt right with the collective, we saw the gentle, you know, tip of the hat and the nod of the acknowledgement, and that which became a force in itself, which we were then living in that experience for sure.
So you're not surprised that I brought this up?
Not at all.
And
Zero.
If somebody else makes a comment, there's going to be reviews, right? Are you hoping somebody is going to recognize something as cool as that?
Yes, I think that there'll be a lot of things that'll be recognized in this. It's a very, very interesting film. It's a gift for all of you out there in the public. It's a gift from all of us that are truly in the surrender of this work and this path, and holding this space for all of you guys, and you holding this space for us, this community, whatever the truth community, ufology community, whatever it is now, the observers that are willing to see and observe in a new reality out there. We thank you, we love you, and this film is truly a work of art for you guys, and you're a part of it.
Stay right there, Roger. We've got one more segment left. Director Roger R. Richards is with us tonight. This is Fade to Black. I'm your Jimmy Church. We're talking about his new film. It's releasing on November 18th, The Observers. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, The X.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to getthetea.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's getthetea.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from Rivermoon. Just click on the Rivermoon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit unitedgoldgroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest, Roger R. Richards. Tomorrow night, Paula Harris is with us. Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. What a great conversation tonight. And I kind of saved the best for last, Roger. And it is this. There isn't any reboots of classic UFO cases and analysis. There's a time and place for that, and if you're going to do that kind of documentary, that's great. You know what to expect. But that is not in this film. Why?
You know, I think there has been a real healthy amount of media for years that looked at these cases, and picked them apart over and over, in different interpretations of, those experiences and what was recorded, the different interviews and witnesses that, were there and whatnot. And I think that those are incredibly valid conversations for anybody that's coming to the UFO topic in general to start off with and understand, because they're kind of that first level, that first veil that you have to approach and kind of digest in regards to the, the collective mythology and folklore and the subculture that is this kind of community. But in the kind of more modern, interpretation of what this is, you get into the understanding that this thing has been pulled apart for decades now by groups and, people that have had experiences, people that are contactees, people that, are channelers. There's a mass spectrum of color that is available in all different types of interpretations around these anomalous experiences associated with this technology. And so with the observers here, what we wanted to do was we wanted to create the aggregate, like the most, all senses maxed out, like rubbing peanut butter and chocolate on the roof of your mouth, like everything that you could condense into these people who have been aggregates, researchers, experiencers, etc. They've archived this knowledge in their body and in the work that they have done, the body of work that they have done in their lives. And so the observers here was really about that. What is the richest story of detail that can be told in all its spectrums? So you don't watch this movie once, but you watch it twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and it begins to unfold in layers like, a flower, a lotus, or an onion, whatever the metaphor it is. You see more because it is jam-packed. It's not a linear story that follows, a single account of something that happens. It is the collective aggregate of all these experiences, pulled together in this bigger story around really unveiling what is behind this word UFO, or now UAP. And it is a mass prism of colors and interpretations of experiences that are there that need to be understood. And that's why, the Observer's film focuses from that standpoint as opposed to, a single narrative of an event and going through that.
Well, in some aspects, certainly when you look at the activist view of this film and the vicious, right? This is something that is going to shock some people. Yes. Outside of our UFO community, the UFO community is going to fully enjoy this film and appreciate it and understand it. The rest of the world, now we're into that vicious realm. Are they ready? Is the world ready for the message that this film is going to deliver?
The world called that message in that film through us. That's why it arrived and why it happened. We were just the stewards for the world, needing that message and wanting it to come through. As a filmmaker and the collaborative that was there to share this and the people that were there, in no way can a single person take responsibility for what that is and why that came through in that experience. The world needs this message. It creates art in the subconscious of the collective conscious, and it delivers that through oracles who are the artists or the dreamers, the daydreamers, the people that have the ability to dream into real life and manifest these things. Those people are the ones that carry those burdens and pull them into this experience, but they're really just delivering it for all of us. So this work here and the intentions that were set forward to do by the people that were doing it, the entire process that we all went through in that experience, that was directly at the hand and the desire, in my perspective, of the collective consciousness pouring that story through us. And so, if the question is, can the world handle it right now? It's actually what they've been craving to understand and know. And we've done the best in our humblest forms that we could to interpret these things and pull them together the best that we could to show them the great wealth of knowledge that is there to understand and that's waiting for us, that we don't have to be scared of anymore.
Well, there's a crescendo that is happening. There is a wave, a literal tidal wave that has been set. The stage has been set through the media, through Congress, through the Senate, through the Department of Defense, science, and exoplanets. The stage has been building, and riding on this wave is a film like this, which is releasing during the peak of this conversation, right? And that's exactly what's happening.
That is what's happening. And, in the world of ufology, there are many different groups and different agendas that have all different interests in, their contributions to the world of ufology. And, and you can know them by their call signs in all different ways. The more that you spend and you analyze and you watch the communities in their different, kind of warring tribes, or however you kind of, there's some people that are, focused on the technology aspect of it. There's some people that are focused on the contact aspect of it. There's some people that are focused on the money that's being stolen by the governments into these sides of things. Like, the richness and the complexities that are available for people to pull apart and understand there are absolutely huge in regards to what's shown in this film here and, presented in the film. And so, like, one of the things I want to just say here too, before, the time gets so short, this work and the work that comes after it for all of us here collectively to acknowledge this now, this is happening, okay? The UAP report and what has been shown there is that there is a war right now between these intelligence agencies that are fighting each other around the narrative that does get rolled out. So this idea of disclosure and, when are we going to get a disclosure? Well, they're trying to fight, and there's all these different agendas of who's going to roll it out, how they're going to roll it out, etc. We need to suck the life out of that here as a collective and make sure that they don't have the opportunity to do that. And the other experience of that is that we observe everything into reality and we pull it all into reality. And the only the ability for us to do that is the ability to bear each other, to bear the darkness in each other, to bear the darkness in ourselves that is mirrored in the truths that we will pull out, because they are very dark. They are very, very dark when it comes to the spectrum of darkness that can be accessed by a human being. But in the other side of that, there is the light spectrum that's calling through all of us that want to shine light and our perspective and our observations onto this moment here. We can take that back as a collective consciousness. We can steward this in here. We don't have to wait for them. We don't have to let their war settle out so they can deliver some form of disclosure based off of a battle. We're there watching you all right now. We see you as a collective. We see you as a community, and we will witness and we will archive and we will record this all together. And before anyone knows it, there will be a body of knowledge already out there, and disclosure will be here. It's happening now. It's right around you.
Now, I want to turn back time a little bit, because for the audience and who Roger R. Richards is and this film, that's one thing. That's in the now. But the word disclosure and your efforts began almost 10 years ago. Right, and your focus on disclosure and this mission has been going on now for 10 years or even longer, and that's really important for the audience to understand. Not to get into the specifics of the word disclosure and what you were doing with that word 10 years ago, but it is coming to fruition now. It has been a long journey for you, Roger. Did you expect it to get to the point that it is now, going back to when this journey started?
No, I didn't, expect it. And honestly, it was one of those things that, it's hard to even look forward in this journey because it's been so hyper personal for me. And so I don't share my experiences out, publicly around, what's brought me into this necessarily here. But I will share that, I have my own enigma that I've been trying to understand within my own family, my entire life around things and experiences that, I've gone through. And, this is heavily wrapped up in my own personal understanding of who I am. So the artwork, my intentions, my willingness to contribute as an activist, my desire to inspire others in that same place really comes from the well of service I want want to provide so that I can be in a place of healing and understanding my own journey. And it has been very much that. It has this journey as a filmmaker to go through this experience and understand these, pockets of aggregated knowledge through all of these different people I've interviewed through all these different films over the years, has just been the most incredible gift for me as an observer to tie in and understand my own story, to have this body of knowledge to kind of reference that against. And so, in 2012, I had deeply the understanding and the awakening in me that there had never been a movement for disclosure, a ufology movement in the same way that there was, Occupy at the time, was what I was referencing, in my consciousness at that time. But there wasn't. And that I needed to, usher in this thing. Contact 2012 at the time was where that idea made contact with me, and then over the years blossomed into my work, into the work of Full Disclosure Now, into the work of the films, into the work of this collective and this group that has built now around doing these films. This is a labor of love, but it's also my own madness to understand in my own personal journey. It's an obsession for myself to go as far as I can, dig as deep as I can, and pull apart my ego as much as needed to understand these things, because I did observe them. I know that without a doubt. These things, these observations are highly sacred in my experiences and are deeply a part of that. And there are many people out there in the most subtlest ways that may even have instincts about different things that they've experienced but don't understand them. And the more that people are drawn to this community and understanding this greater body of knowledge and work that's being observed collectively and all of these anomalies, many, many more people will find an understanding in themselves that they have witnessed and observed something also in that experience. So, yes, that is a part of why I do this.
Are we at, and then I'm going to shift with the limited time that we have left into another direction. But do you feel that we're getting close to some kind of resolution in the disclosure world and what that means? Or is this an ongoing, this is endless? We're never going to master the word disclosure, right? This journey will continue. Or are we, at the end? Is there light at the end of the tunnel?
I think that this is a chapter. This is a progression through the next leg of this journey here for all of us. And it's coming to a head, like you said, this crescendo that you can track within, even the analytics of words and the ability to see that, mainstream media is covering this stuff like crazy right now. The fact that there are people like Lue Elizondo who have come forward and gotten extreme, public attention on these topics. There is a lot of interest now in the mainstream to bring that out, and there are agendas behind that also in that experience, multiple agendas, conflicting agendas. And when you get into that more and start seeing that kind of the inner machinations of those groups back there that are fighting for this opportunity to bring it out or keep some things to suppress, all of the different agendas there, that's what's being kind of called out into the public here, that we all have to see and look at in this experience here. But ultimately, in the end, the disclosure movement here, I feel like, is transmuting in this experience, and it's transmuting in a reversal from the standpoint of, things are now changing. It's no longer we're asking for disclosure. We're taking it into our own hands. We're taking accountability. We're taking responsibility. We're being brave enough. The Braves won tonight, which is incredible. We're being brave enough from the standpoint of, speaking out about these things and talking about them without the fear of being labeled with curses like conspiracy theory, etc. So I think this is a new chapter here. Disclosure is transforming into the idea of what we observe collectively together. That is deeply a part of the quantum understanding that we're moving into in this technological age. It's deeply a part of the understanding of the merger between science and religion, spirituality, and those things. Mm-hmm. This is what is on the precipice for all of us right now. So I do think it will continually go and grow, and this idea of, the constant mysteries of the universe being unraveled and unveiled to the observers in this experience here, that is infinite. That is a loop that goes and blossoms and creates multiverses, just like this fractal flower that continually goes and is a part of this collective consciousness, this great psychedelic mind that we are all a part of and in tune with in the mother that is this earth here. That experience here is pulling through the disclosure community as a very focused thought in its own. And that thought is evolving, that thought is growing, that thought is expanding, and it's doing so because it's being talked about, it's being shared, it's being acknowledged, for the first time in all of these experiences in a very, very different way. And so I have a great hope for the transmutation in the next chapter into this experience collectively, where we can all learn to dream together in this experience and dream into, reality, everything that we will need to, love each other, protect each other, and remove these separations that have, divided us all in this experience. It is a great, great perspective on the horizon that's reaching out to all of us, a future that's already happened and is finding us in the now.
Now, and I'm telling you, you and I and the team in a couple of months are going to be able to just take a collective breath and just laugh. And it's going to be a good dinner. What we do, man. It's going to be a good dinner. But I wanted to ask you this. Now, this is where I want to shift gears and loosen up a little bit. But it is entirely possible to overthink a film. Overthink the editing, overthink second guess, go back and change things that you probably shouldn't have changed because you have time. This go around, you didn't have the time. Yeah. You didn't have a chance to overthink it. Yeah. So now your gut instincts, and for the team, right, are here, right? Is it possible to overthink a film? And this time around, you weren't given that luxury, right? So you got what you got.
I think the instincts of everybody kicked in, from the standpoint of, fight or flight in regards to delivering what we needed to. And so, again, it comes back to, what you were highlighting earlier about just the pressure and the diamond thing. Our instincts kind of, kicked into that experience, and we're all operating from the standpoint of there is literally no time to, second guess things or go through it. You have to be in the moment, which is an incredible and was an incredible part of this journey for everyone here in the meditation and the focus of the term the observers and observing the moment here. We often as human beings constantly forecast ourselves into the future around the possibilities of what we desire or what can hope and can come our way, from the standpoint of, wealth or love or whatever our desires are. And then we constantly look back and regret the things and look at and wish we could, rewrite those things. You can do all of those things, control your future and your past here from this moment if you're willing to observe and drink in every amount of detail that can be accessed in a second in a frame of this life. And so that experience of working instinctually as an artist and drinking up the moment and just having to trust those things was the gift that was given around the restrictions of the timing and all of the pressure that we were under in this place. We didn't have the opportunity to do anything else but operate from our instincts, and it was a beautiful experience, and it tied into the collective daydream that we had together, from the standpoint of delivering what we needed to and just being hyper present in the moment and dreaming that into reality.
It's so funny to me to go back to a musical analogy with all of this. It doesn't matter what band, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Van Halen, it doesn't matter, right? Leonard Skinner, it doesn't matter. Every one of their greatest hits, right? They'll go, well, we wrote that in 5 minutes. Right. Yep, exactly. That was they needed one more song for the album, and that was the pressure from the record company. So we went in and we cut that in 20 minutes, and that's it. But that's what happens, right, when you don't overthink.
Exactly. It's the fits of inspiration that come through, people call them downloads in this community, from the higher self or, from other beings, aspects of yourself in the future, past. But they're the moments of quantum entanglement where, just like what happened to you today here, Jimmy, you got a little story for yourself to share where, your past caught up with you in a moment and showed you an incredible mini play that showed up that's incredibly relevant to you right now and even to this film and what we were talking about here. And those experiences that we watch and, witness in the moment, those little plays that, play out literally and we participate in with each other, all of that experiences, all of those experiences are helping us on these journeys with each other to get to this place of getting closer to each other, of stripping away the things that separate us from, each other and being a whole collective and understanding the power of what it means to be a healed family as a collective. Like this idea right now that, we have billionaires that are pushing themselves out to Mars, that are pushing themselves out into space, that are, pushing, that whole envelope of leaving the world here and expanding out on that. Well, what does that really mean and trickle down to in the larger archetype of this place? It means that we're one family. We become the family from this planet here. This is us. These countries and borders and different separations dissolve against the idea that we live on this very, very precious, small, beautiful planet that is in perfect balance and must be in perfect balance to even host this experience here for us. And so in the Disclosure movement, in the Observers film, in the work that we kind of all are pouring in together here, and again accessing this moment right now in time where we are leaving and we are branching out into the universe, we're reaching out now to the possibilities of what those things could be. At the same time, we are truly understanding how unique we are as a community on this planet, and the ability to be a family again and really hone that experience collectively is what's seeking us right now. All of this stuff that's playing out in distortions and battles between polarity and sides and all of those things, they are great dances and great plays for every unique individual that needs those experiences here. And the more that you hone into the understanding of what is to come and how you can be to service in this experience and help people through those processes, the more they can serve you in that same way, helping you through that process. So this work we all have to do collectively. The Disclosure movement has been a subculture bubble for a long time, but it's not subculture anymore, you guys. I hate to break it to you. It's pop culture. This is it. When we've got things like Stranger Things on Netflix talking about Montauk, and it's a huge pop culture phenomenon, and everything else in the paranormal world and the esoteric world, being a great desire in media right now. Well, that's a direct reflection of what people are desiring to understand. And there are lots of artists out there like myself and the people that were part of this film that have great work to do for the people and the world that is seeking those understandings. So I wish you guys all luck in the work that you are doing, and you will find protection in your luck if you can trust and love both the light and the dark and walk the green path to the heart, which is the luck. You guys will all be protected, and channel it in, do the work, make the films, create the art. The whole world is there and is transforming us, and we're here to record that, live it, and create with that experience.
I realized everything that you just said right there when I discovered Rick and Morty. And I was like, if this is being made, we have arrived, man.
Yes, exactly.
We have arrived.
Exactly.
We have arrived. Well, listen, the film is great. The reception, I can't wait for you to enjoy all of that. Your germ of an idea grew in that Petri dish, and it's been realized. So enjoy the ride, Roger. It's going to be a great one. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, brother. It's great to spend the night with you guys and connect with everybody. Much love to all of you out there in this experience. Hold each other tight and love all of the challenges in this journey. Surrender to it. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much, Roger. Roger R. Richards. We got the links up to the trailer, and also you can go and pre-order the film now. The links are up in social media, jimmychurchradio.com, everywhere, and you can go and do that. Roger, I'll speak to you tomorrow, my friend. Have a great night. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'm going to open up the phone lines, 747-228-2051. I'll be right back after this short break.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B blend for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Roger R. Richards. That was an incredible conversation, and I cannot wait for all of you to see the film. It is really, really, really good. I am very proud of it. And thank you, Roger. And we've got the links up for everybody to go and check it out. Man, I've been on the phone all day and talking, and I did that yesterday too as well. And I'm losing my voice. And yeah, am I going to be able to make it to the end of the show? I've opened up the phone lines, 747-228-2051. And let's see who we've got up here. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. It's Debbie Kauble.
When was the last time you hit that Dairy Queen on 16th and Post? Tell me the truth.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, probably about 30 years ago. I still crave a dilly bar every now and then. I ain't going to lie.
All right.
Well, I was listening to your show, and it was great to hear Roger's voice again. And I just wanted to say that I was honored to be a part of it, of the Observer. I felt so grateful to have the opportunity, and Roger was kind and patient with me because I was very nervous. I don't do stuff like that very often, so.
Now,
and I saw it, and I think it's great.
And let's talk about that for a second, Debbie, and your contribution to the film. And that's why I asked Roger specifically about that tonight. And I didn't expect this conversation to happen right now between you and I, and that is precious. That is really cool. But let me ask you about that for a second. The first night, you heard Roger and I talk a lot about those dinners that we had. And those dinners were incredible. And I want everybody to know that was 3, 4, 5 hours of madness. Lots of food, lots of drink, and lots of conversation. You and I had the opportunity and the privilege to sit next to you. And knowing now what the film is, but that night at dinner, you had no idea. You hadn't met the crew, you hadn't shot yet, you hadn't done anything. How nervous were you? And then how comfortable were you in the end?
Oh, I was very nervous at the beginning. And, I've had very little. I've done very little in the way of these sort of things because when I did do them in the past, they ended up being not what I was led to believe they were, and you can be edited. You can interview somebody, can interview you for 2 hours, and then they take 3 minutes of what you said and turn it into something that you really didn't say and make you look completely insane. And I've had that happen to me enough times that I was skittish about, anything. So I was nervous. But I trusted Linda. I've known her for 30 years, and I don't know, just something about this felt like it was something I should do. It was one of those moments where, I get asked a lot of times to do things, and most of the time I say no. But every now and then I have something will happen, and I feel a compulsion to do it, like I'm pushed to do it. Like something in the universe is saying you need to go and do this. And so I went, even though I was nervous. And then once I met everybody and started talking, and then by the time we were done, when I had my last interview before I went home with Roger, and I don't know, we sat there and talked. He filmed me, but as I was talking to him, I felt like all that went away, and it was just he and I connecting, and I just felt comfortable. And it was in those moments in the end that I was feeling like, yeah, this was the right thing for me to do. This is where I should be. This is what I should be doing. And I, kind of connected with him in some way on some other level and understood that, this was an important thing. And it was that moment too that I felt so blessed to have been included in it and to have been a part of it. I felt unworthy.
Well, you bring up a really interesting point, and this isn't a spoiler alert, okay? But I want everybody to understand that it's Debbie's words that close the film. And as I watch, and I know that you were probably watching the film at the same time I was, right? as we got the release. And I got to the end of the film, and none of us had any idea that it was going to be you that was closing out the film. But
I was certainly surprised.
Right. And this is the thing, like Roger had brought up. You're having a conversation. You don't know necessarily how it's going to fit ultimately in the film, but your words were the perfect closing. It was a gift, right? It was the perfect closing to the film. But I have to ask you, Debbie, how did you feel as you got to the end? Did that surprise you? And what went through your mind?
I was shocked, and I thought, well, you know me, I'm kind of salty. I was thinking, holy and,
right.
That was the first thought that came in my mind. And I'm like, and then I thought, yeah,
it works.
That's true.
Yeah.
It works. And it's not just for me, you know what I mean? Although I was speaking of myself, but it's like Roger said, we all came together and we all brought a piece of ourselves and our unique perspective of this huge thing. Sorry about my dog.
Oh, I love it.
And,
don't worry about it. I love it.
There was so many different, it was different people, different experiences, a different level. Whitley and I, of course, Whitley's much more well-known than I am, but he's an experiencer like me. And then, Linda Howe, like the queen.
Certainly, sure.
Of ufology and everything. And Richard Dolan. I mean, is that his middle name? I think it's his middle name for real. I don't know.
It's official now. That is his middle name.
It's like, these people. I mean, I was so humbled to be a part of this group. And, in retrospect, thinking we all came and brought a piece of our world within ufology and pulled it all together. And I just think that I don't know, when I watched the completed project, like I said, I've been involved in things before where you could be interviewed for 2 hours, edited down to 2 minutes and make no sense at all. But Roger didn't do that to me, and he didn't do that to any of us. And first of all, I was grateful for that. And as I watched, and I thought, oh God, I look horrible.
Oh, you look great.
And
oh man, you look great. No. You look great. But let me say this. This is. I'm going to share with you what went through my mind, and I'm not making any of this up. So at that moment, as you said the last lines, I didn't know it was the last lines in the film, right? But as you spoke, and that concluded, this is what I said. I said, Roger better roll credits right here. Right here. And then the credits roll. I went, man. Right? Right on, Debbie. I was so proud of the way that you presented yourself. But this is the thing, though, Debbie. It is difficult for those out there that have gone through experiences similar to yours to verbalize it, to speak about it. Most of it, and I'm going to say like nearly 100%, is kept on the inside. It is very rare for somebody to come out and speak about something so personal. And not only did you do that, but I hope that that you've let other experiencers out there know that they can talk about this now. It is not this taboo thing anymore, and you did that. It's not taboo
that was
anymore.
My goal,
right?
Yeah, I wanted people. That was one of the things that I wanted to do in doing this was, and I mentioned it during several of my interviews, that the stigma, it's a lot better than it was 30 years ago when I first started talking about my experiences in public. And I've been called all kinds of names and dragged, and I'm over it. I don't even care what people think anymore, clearly, or I wouldn't be doing what I just did on, this film. But I wanted other people out there to realize that it's okay now. Times have changed, and I feel like there's strength in numbers, and that we, for every, I made a comment, for every one person there is like me that's willing to even say a tiny little bit about what kind of weirdness they've experienced. There's probably 100,000 other people that are never going to open their mouth, and I can respect that and relate to that. But when I started hearing about these pilots and all these people with impeccable credibility that were terrified to speak about things they saw every day for 2 years,
right,
I thought, this has got to stop. This has got to stop. And people like me, and Whitley, and other people who had experiences have been trying to come forward and talk. I made myself a target, and that's fine. Whatever will be, people have their own reasons for the way they behave toward me, and I get that. But I just wanted to do my part to help people out there who've had experiences feel more comfortable talking about them. But it's still not easy for me. You can see in this film when I talk that sometimes I still have a hard time talking. And when I hear the words come out of my mouth, I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this in public, but I'm doing it, and it has gotten a little easier in 30 years, but it's still not easy. But I just hope that I can help other people like me feel more comfortable talking about their weird experiences.
Now, are you have you thought about, are you ready for a little more limelight, to come back? Because now you're back, on a stage. This is out. This is for everybody to see now. Are you prepared for that? And is your family aware of this film and what may or may not happen over the next year?
Yeah, they're aware of it. And they know me. A lot of them have witnessed some things I've witnessed. My family is aware of it. People that I used to work with, friends I have now, everybody in my life, in my circle, and I keep my circle small, but my circle knows, and whatever will be. They've all come to realize over the years that this is a part of me. It's a part of who I am, and it's a part of my destiny. And, as far as haters go, or people who want to, I've reached an age where
you don't give
the
a
only
crap.
people that I don't give a shit anymore. The only people that I care about are the people that I love, and I already know what they think, and they're all good with it. So let's just roll. It's time.
Yes, it is. It is. Now, I made a comment to Roger earlier, and I say this with such endearing love, but you are the person next door. You are America. That's who you are, right? And you just don't know who may or may not have had these types of experiences. And you certainly represent that. But I want to ask you this. The comment that I made is, you need to be careful when you're walking down the street and who's walking past you and being judgmental, right? And you need to be very careful with that. But I wanted to ask you this. Do you ever walk past somebody and go, that's an experiencer. Is there a vibe that goes on? Can you pick up on it?
Sometimes I can, yes. And when I meet somebody, I don't know what it is. I look in their eye, feel the energy around them or something. I just pick up on something. It's a little radar that's built into me. I don't know why. But yes, I do. But I have been surprised also. I've worked all my life. I've worked since I was 15 and a half years old, and the last 15 years of my life been in a factory. And when they first started to find out about me there, I was even surprised at the number of people who came up to me and wanted to talk about UFO stuff, and then started to tell me their own story, people that I would not have guessed, that's one of the reasons why I feel like, and then being out in conferences and meeting people around the country, for every person like me, there's 10,000, 100,000 people out there that are never going to speak to anybody, but they felt comfortable coming and talking to me when I let them know that I was open to it, by talking about myself. So, but yeah, there are times when I can meet someone and talk to them for a couple of minutes, and I'm like, yep, they's one of them.
Do you guys ever compare notes? The private stuff?
Sometimes, more with women. I think I have compared notes more with women, especially with the extremely weird stuff.
Sure.
Most of the time when I compare notes with guys, it's the hardcore. It's like the Mark in the Yard stuff, and things that are more solid, the evidential stuff. But the more
the nuts and bolts thing, and then
right.
But when you're talking with a female, is it more of the emotional things that have happened?
It's the emotional things that have happened, and it's the reproductive things that have happened. I mean, you'd be surprised how many women have had mysterious miscarriages.
Right.
I mean, even the doctor told me when I was a kid, and my mom and I were in there, he said, we see this a lot, I'm thinking, you do? I never heard about it. But, so yeah, women will come up to me and tell me those parts of their stories that they're not, I wasn't comfortable sharing it with a man. So I get that, but yeah, it's going to get interesting this next year. And I'm ready. When I first saw the screener, and watched the whole movie, at the end there where I said, oh shit, I thought, okay, I better buckle my seatbelt because this one might do something.
Well, there's another part of this that I kind of enjoy and kind of laugh at, and it's the little things like the Warren Central famous alumni page, right? It'll be Ryan Murphy and Debbie Kauble, right? And there's that part of it, and
Jimmy Church.
Well, I don't know if Warren Central will honor me with that. But then there's like WIBC or Indy Fox News. Indianapolis' own Debbie Kauble is featured in a new UFO documentary. Debbie, welcome to Good Day Indianapolis, right? And there's that part of it where the Indianapolis kind of thing where you are that, and I love it, and I hope that it happens.
Well, when Bud's book first came out, it was on the New York Times bestseller list for a while, and I actually was approached by the Indy Star, and a guy, I can't remember his name now, but he came out to the house and did an article about me and my family and interviewed mom and dad and took pictures of the yard and all that. Abe Amador, that was his name. Do you remember that name? He's from Indianapolis.
I do, actually.
Yeah. He came to the house and did an article about our family, which, they used the pseudonym, and of course they didn't give the address, but we still had a couple of people who were persistent and found them. Of course, once they met my father, they never came back. So, but I mean, that was when Bud's book first came out, when Intruders came out. I don't think there wasn't anything on television at the time, but there was some newsprint.
Well, Indianapolis, it's a big city by Indiana standards, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a small town. Indianapolis is a small town, and everybody knows everybody. Everybody's in everybody's business, and I love that part of Indianapolis. It may be a city. They got an NFL team. They got the NBA, but it's a small town. And they are very proud of Hoosiers and the people that live there. And like I said, you're a big part of that. I love Naptown, and just thank you for your contributions to this film and everything. I will not forget when you and I were sitting next to and we're talking. We had no idea that we went to the same high school. We didn't know that we grew up in the same neighborhood. We didn't know any of those things. And once all of that was revealed for the both of us, I'm comfortable. Now you are, but I think the universe brought us together. And I really appreciate it. And thank you.
And, I mean, nothing happens, in my opinion, nothing happens by chance. There is a reason behind everything that happens that was synchronicity, and you made me feel comfortable when I realized, all that about you. I felt like I had one of my homies there. I felt more comfortable, and I felt very comfortable around you. And I mean, you could get my Hoosier humor and I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like there was reason for that.
Yeah,
and I'm grateful.
I couldn't believe when you and I are sitting there dropping things like Irvington, Shadeland, Audubon, right?
Yeah.
And things that only
Bo Ricks at 10th and Mithofer.
That's right. only those from the hood would know those things, and I was just blown away. I was like, man, this is going to be great. So and to me, that was great. It was great. I'm grateful for the entire experience. I'm grateful that I met Roger. I'm grateful that I met you and Leon and everybody. And I'm grateful for being able to be a part of this, which I think is going to be historic. Yeah,
I'm so grateful.
Yeah, there's no question about it, Debbie. And again, thank you for your contribution, not only to the film, but to this community. And it's going to be a wild ride. Buckle up, man. It's going to be great.
Over your seatbelt.
Thank you so much, Deb. Enjoy the rest of your night. Give my best to the family and everybody else back there in Naptown. Now go do some White Castle, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Debbie Kauble. And the links for the film, again, are up in social media. They are right below in the description box. It's all right there. The film is The Observers. It premieres November 18th in 2 weeks. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. Tomorrow night, Paula Harris, right here. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. It's time to fade to black.